Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zaid Faransso. I'm your host on Arab TV, and I'm here delightfully to meet you once more in this nice show that gives you a hint about the achievements of the Arab Americans in the Bay Area and the San Francisco area. With me here is Camille Kokozaki. He's president and co-founder of L'Artista Foundation. This non-for-profit organization is centered here in San Jose, and it gives a lot of services to artists and craftsmen in the Arab world. He's here to tell us a little bit about himself and about this organization and what it does. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you, Zaid. Good to be here.
Thank you. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? We're interested in knowing the person behind the idea.
Okay, I have lived in California since 2005. My background is a technical background. I'm an engineer by trade, and I have been in the United States since 1975. I've done all kinds of jobs in the technical field, from designing chips to managing groups. And basically my career has been in high technology for the most part.
Great, great. Now, what we started talking about and what I was referring to in the beginning seemed to be in two different areas of interest. How did you combine this, or how did you get from that point into craftsmanship?
Okay, so as you might have guessed, I have a day job in the high technology field. But the nonprofit foundation was started, in fact, in December, very recently. All my life, I've been involved in community work and helping in volunteering efforts and what have you. Now, the actual foundation was spurred by basically me realizing that there is a need to support artisans in Lebanon. I am basically from a Lebanese descent, and I have been involved in community work ever since I was in high school and in college in Lebanon, when I got started in my college career. Mm-hmm. And from the beginning, I was involved with an organization that helps basically underdeveloped regions, that gets involved in artisanal work, in supporting also disadvantaged children. And through that, I was involved in that. And throughout the years, I've been always keeping up with this. Where we got here is about a year ago, there was a book that was published that about the founder of the organization in Lebanon that was actually driving all these initiatives. And the association or the organization was called Mouvement Social. And in that book, I got to see all of the great effort throughout the years. And I got to thinking that, hey, there are certain things that we could bring back here in the States, realizing that there are a lot of needs in Lebanon about supporting artisanal work. Historically, there were about 800 artisans in Lebanon that were supported by this organization, the Mouvement Social, and l'Artisan du Liban, which is basically focusing on helping them. Mm-hmm. Given that there was wars and there were a lot of upheavals in there, the economics were not as appealing anymore. So the business of the artisans has dropped dramatically. Currently, they have about 400 artisans from the high of 800. Now, the Mouvement Social in l'Artisan du Liban focuses on increasing and helping the skill set of the artisans, maintaining all of the knowledge and know-how of the artisanal work, but also helping them provide marketing channels and commercial outlets that can sell and market the products that they come up with.
Great. So let me make that clear. We're talking about regular handcrafts, the things that you usually run into when you walk around Beirut, for example, or one of the smaller cities, the things that you would buy at an open market or from small shops. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, the one thing that is unique about the products that l'Artisan du Liban provides is historically the products were kind of, let's say, dated, and they were not, in line with
True.
What the actual tastes of the modern lifestyle is. And what we have done is we have, through the Artisans of Lebanon, selected or have an actual product designer who took the value, the oriental value that is present in the product, but adapted them to a modern lifestyle so that they would fit in a normal environment while keeping all of the quality and the elements that are appealing from an oriental perspective.
Wow, smart idea. Now, actually, I was going to say that you're not alone in this business, and your partner, the other co-founder of L'Artista Foundation, Tina Cassia, I had the luck of meeting her a few days ago, but we're probably unfortunate in that she had to leave to Paris to attend to your exhibit over there. So I want to hear the story of the beginning from her.
Right, correct. If I may say also
Sure.
the fact that Tina also is the manager of the Paris store of the Artisans of Lebanon. So she has been doing this since 1999. So she has a dual role. She's the co-founder of the nonprofit of L'Artista, but she also is part of the Artisans of Lebanon, l'Artisan du Liban, with a store that she manages in Paris.
Great. So let's take a look at this clip where I asked her about the beginning of this movement. Can we see the clip, please?
The first idea came from an NGO named Mouvement Social حركة الاجتماعية. I can say it in Arabic.
The social movement.
Social movement. The idea was that we had a lot of handcrafts and know-how in Lebanon, and we thought that if this person couldn't commercialize their products and live from these articles, we would lose all this know-how. So the first idea was to have a shop in Beirut where they can put all the items and we could sell them, and like that they can live from their sales.
Sounds great.
So and then we noticed that the articles were very well made, handmade, but the aesthetic wasn't there. So we asked for a designer to go and see all the artisans, see what they can do, and then make designs and let them execute the ideas she had. So that was the idea, and the articles were too much charged, too much classical, and couldn't go into modern interiors. We tried to modernize all these products and make a nice design with everything. And we opened the first shop in '79 in West Beirut, and then another shop in East Beirut, a third one in Tripoli, north of Lebanon, and in '99 a shop in Paris I'm taking care about since '99.
Okay, so we got from her kind of the idea of how these things started. And I really love the idea. I'm imagining myself walking across one of those old bazaars in the Middle East where you can see a lot of beautiful things like an old rug, an old copper, plate, one of those ornaments that you want to hang in your house. But it is exactly the same thing that I would think of. These things are beautiful. There are generations and generations of craftsmanship behind it. But I wish it would have been perfect. I guess that's the same idea that we were talking about, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Zaid. What we have attempted to do is to, one, beyond just enabling the artisans and help them continue to provide the skills and the workmanship, but also to bring also a portion of a desired product that is appealing while doing it for a good cause, but also have the end user be satisfied with what they have. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea is that we're doing when we started the foundation here is to help initially on three fronts. One, help drive business so that then the ongoing challenge that they have today can be overcome, but also to help, certainly raise the awareness about the beauty of these products, mm-hmm. and then bring the Oriental flair, so to speak, into the modern lifestyle.
So let me ask, how is that going? How is the progress, and what are the difficulties that you faced in the way?
So we have obviously the Artisans of Lebanon, as I kind of alluded mm-hmm. originally, is they are going through a patch now where the business is not where it used to be or should be. And what we want to do, since we're enabling a lot of artisans in the sense that they can get to stay in their villages, won't have to kind of go take menial jobs to kind of make a living.
Yes.
We are wanting to drive business that way so that they can continue to raise families and then provide also for them while providing a good output and have them have some pride in the work that they do. when some of their product gets showcased in Europe with some reviews or in expositions, and then something is written about them, the sense of pride that the artisans have is amazing, especially since they realize that when they see that their work matters, and they see that all of this is being certainly taken beyond their immediate region.
And there has been a good deal of recognition of that product, right?
Absolutely. So now what we have done here, to answer your question, is we have started first by raising awareness, and we want to bring to the States the success that has occurred in Europe in the awareness of the product and in the markets that have been materialized. Doing this, we can hopefully continue to bring additional business to them and then help them sustain and go pass over the patch that they're seeing right now due to the economic conditions in Lebanon.
Yeah, and the people who are doing this, the artisans themselves, how do they perceive this? How do they take it?
They absolutely are delighted. They're certainly, a lot of them have been involved for decades, I should say, into that business. Some of them have raised their children, have sent them to colleges based on the revenue that they generate. So there is a big deal of loyalty, and they are absolutely willing and able to help as long as there is a demand for their skills and for their work.
And you have enough manpower or women power? Or
Absolutely. So the peak was about 800 artisans. Now it's down to 400 artisans. Now the Artisans du Liban themselves have 50 employees that help drive the sales for that product. And there are 4 employees in Paris that also are part of the commercial aspects of selling the product. Mm-hmm. And in that respect, certainly we want to continue to have that, be a self-sustaining proposition. We would like to do maybe perhaps some donations, maybe have some additional business coming their way. And certainly, if I may slip that in, our foundation is looking for volunteers and people who are willing to help in spreading the word and or helping us raise the awareness in the United States about this product.
Actually, this part was going to be part of our discussion because among all these things and in the midst of that story, there is a piece of the puzzle that I'm still wondering about. Yes, I know that you're situated here, but out of this story, where does the Bay Area sit?
So we have actually, we're not limited. We incorporated the nonprofit L'Artista in California just because I happen to be here, but we're not limited to operate. We can operate anywhere in the United States. If we identify some distribution mechanism or suppliers, we can certainly be involved in that. We have started reaching out to the local Arab community here with LAA and other organizations, and we have been very well received. Understand we've just recently got started, so
Sure.
The dialogue has started, and we have received tremendous welcome and support, and then hopefully we're going to leverage that by building on the relationship, the networking, the awareness, participate in events, be able to attend a lot of the exhibits, local shows, so that we can continue to drive that.
So it's like a new market in the area.
It does, it's correct.
And I heard that the launch or the reason why this whole thing has surfaced or reached my ears, so to speak, was because of an event that you recently had in San Jose. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yes, Zaid, absolutely. So what we have thought that we would do, since we are geared to support the artists in general, and the first project was L'Artisan du Liban, to support it for the artisans, we thought what a great idea it would be to have artists support artisans. So we picked a small cafe in downtown San Jose. We held that event on March 7th. And then we had a number of opera singers who perform every month, the first Friday of every month, in that cafe. So we brought them over, and they, in essence, did a performance, and then we sponsored that. And in the middle of the break, in between the performances of the opera singers, we took some time to mention, we showcased the products that we have, and we took some time to mention about what the initiative is about and what we're trying to accomplish. So and that was our inaugural event, and we hope to have many more moving forward to raise the awareness.
Wow, that's great. I can see this coming forward. I can see how this channel is open for a lot of people who think that they want this kind of merchandise because it's beautiful, for one, because it's well made, for two, and because it reminds them of their homeland. That's definitely an important thing. All right.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm cutting this sequence of thoughts to give the audience a chance to have an idea about what we're talking here and what kind of crafts that we're referring to. The items that we were talking about, the small things that are made in the small villages and workshops, and even the houses of women in northern and central Lebanon, and hopefully in other parts of the Middle East and the Arab world. What kind of objects are these? Let's take a look at the second clip I have in here and see what kind of items are we expected to see in those exhibits, for example. All right, so next I want you to show me some of those beautiful pieces you brought with you. And if you can tell me a little bit of the story behind these pieces also.
Yes, of course. I want to begin with this one, which is something in the shop. Usually we tell people, guess what it is.
I have no idea.
Hold it.
I know it's heavy.
Yes.
All right. It feels like a pillow, but
it's not a pillow. It's a doorstop.
Okay.
So we have a very nice collection of doorstops like this. It's inside. There is sand. Not coming from Lebanon. It's too expensive to.
Right.
But there is a bag where we put sand. And first, when we put this in our shop in Paris, people used to come and see, what is this? It's a doorstop. Oh my God, you have a lot of wind in Lebanon here. The door are closed. And now it becomes our first, the first article we sell.
Wow.
It's we have a lot of other shapes and designs of this doorstop.
It's the element of mystery.
Yes, of course. This one, for example, you have to help me with everything. You have to smell it.
Okay. Wow.
Is it Orient?
Most definitely.
So it's this one, for example. Inside we have different fragrances. And we have this blue pearl. You know, in Orient, the blue pearl is a kind of lucky charm.
Yes.
It's decorative. The smell is good, and here too you can see on this small object you have 3 persons working on this one. Another thing we do also jewelry, and the necklace I'm wearing is something that our designer creates and the women execute.
So beautiful. I see a few of the items. I actually got the chance to see, touch, and even smell some of these items, and I can say that they're beautiful. I definitely see the potential of them being displayed in a first-class exhibit. And with these things in display, I can see the kind of ideas that materialized into this. But I bet that along this way, you've had stories to tell. And I know that because you told me a couple of these stories. So right. Can you tell the audience some of the challenges, of the stories that happened to you along the way?
Absolutely. So incidentally, if I may mention, while Tina was here and we were having the event, she could not keep the jewelry on because every piece of jewelry would be immediately asked by people saying, how can I get that? And then she literally had 3 of those being literally snatched off from her.
Well, I can see how each of these pieces had its own appeal, you know, the perfection in the manufacturing, the fact that it's mysterious, it's new, it's different.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the stories, I guess, that I like to tell is originally how we got started. The Artisans of Lebanon. It was truly over an airplane flight between a founder of the Mouvement Social, Grégoire Haddad, and a discussion with Pierre Warde, where he was basically mentioning all the challenges that he was having in getting started and helping all of these associations and all of these artisans. Right there and then, Pierre Warde offered to fund the very first store in Rue Clemenceau in West Beirut, and that's how it all got started. Another interesting story is in 1997, there was an exposition at the Institut du Monde Arabe, which is the Institute of Arab World, and there were some items that were exhibited there, and the demand and the actual requests that came pouring for this product. And people were saying, hey, why don't you open an outlet here? We can certainly supply that. What they did is they had it actual, after 6 months of selling products at the IMA, they were able to fund the opening of the very first store in 1999 that
That's the
Tina
one in
started
Paris.
managing. That's the one in Paris and the one
Wow.
that Tina started managing. So there are all kinds of stories there that are, certainly endearing to tell. We have had a huge request for more and additional products, and to this day, we're getting the same business from the IMA on a regular basis. Now, obviously, as they were getting started, and because of the Lebanese government could not sustain, they were busy with civil wars, there was all kinds of upheavals. They turned to NGOs to see if they could get some aid. And there were 2 institutions in Paris that started providing aid. But when they started providing aid, was interesting because after they applied for aid, the actual officials flew to Beirut unannounced, did not even give any notice, and they called and they said, "We're here, we'd like to see your workshop."
Wow.
And then obviously they wanted to audit to a certain degree. And what they saw they liked, they immediately started providing support and help.
So we're
And
talking
this would
about
be
aid in the form of finances or raw material?
It's just basically help, annual subsidies, those kind of elements of support. So there was a regional council for the Ile-de-France that was providing that. There was a CCFD, which is a committee to fight hunger and to support development. It's a French organization. So as the support was coming from NGOs, this helped the organization get on its feet and move forward off of that.
Great, great. I recall seeing a clip about the evolution of this whole process. It's a well-done YouTube video that you've posted on your website that has a lot of the details that I liked, especially, well, not the technical details, but those interviews with the women who used to work in manufacturing these goods and how they were talking so simply and plain about their aspirations, their dreams, and how they do this. What I really liked about this video is one of the women was saying, we don't get any charity. All we get is help to be productive. And that's exactly what makes people feel they're worthy, feel of their importance in the society, and build their independence. I can also say that this is one of the tiny examples of entrepreneurship. Well, we're in the Arab world, we are still new to this concept and idea. Presenting it in this simple and straightforward fashion to people from the simplest background is a really genuine and productive idea. By the way, I invite all our listeners to view this YouTube video. It's about 13 minutes of interesting facts about this organization and how it evolved and the ideas behind it, and interviews with the women and clips of interviews that were conducted on the Lebanese TV and other international TV station that tells about how this movement is evolving and what's the effect of this on the society.
Yeah, absolutely. Zaid, well said. We might say that the micro-enterprise started even 25, 30 years ago by enabling women, empowering them. And to a certain degree, it's not aid, it is somewhere for them to get on their feet and then to help them provide for their families while certainly being able to stay at home. And the sense of pride, as I mentioned earlier, that they get is amazing because now they see that their work matters and that they're being recognized. When we start, we provide training for some of them initially. So instead of doing menial jobs, now they get the ability to basically grow in their careers and then have unique skills that they get to deploy to the joy and benefit of the consumers of their product.
Indeed. Let's see, where's this going? What are the future plans you're holding in mind, or what are your aspirations? Do you see this expanding or moving to other parts of the Middle East?
So we have on the local front here, we would like obviously to drive awareness, as I mentioned, help drive sales to the website, which is Alyad, which we can talk about. Also, again, volunteers. This is what the Artista Foundation, through events and basically socializing all of the value of it, we're trying to do. Now, the L'Artisan du Liban in Beirut have two very promising projects that I'd like to talk about. First, there is a collaboration ongoing now with the city of Byblos, which is Jubail. And as you may or may not know, that's a 7,000-year-old city
Yes.
that also was the birth of the alphabet. At any rate, there is a collaboration ongoing where an actual school, artisanal school, is going to be developed, which will expand the know-how for blown glass and pottery. And then off of that, there will be a gallery, there will be a shop, and there will be also a production workshop where some of the elements could be designed in there. That's the first project. The second project, there is an agreement in principle with the government of Kuwait to enable in the northern part of Lebanon, in the Akkar, basically to provide infrastructure and to provide support to enable a production workshop in the north. In addition to that, provide raw material support so that then that know-how can be also expanded in the northern part of Lebanon. So activities are throughout Lebanon in various areas and regions, helping drive different skill sets with different regions. There is a city of Sarafand, which is between Sidon and Tyre, which specializes in blown glass. There is another city in northern Lebanon, which specializes with having coppersmiths work. And this city is called Kalamoun. So in a lot of the art that is produced or the product that is produced, more than one artisan may be involved at different steps of the workmanship. And then what we are hoping to do is expand in the know-how. As an example, blown glass used to be obviously a technique that was developed throughout the ages, in the early ages in Lebanon. And now we are finding there are only a few glass technicians
I can definitely see that.
and we're trying to expand that.
With all the effort you're doing, with all the weight you're putting on different agendas, different locations, I definitely see that coming. Right. I know time is short. We would love to listen to more of your stories, but we're short on time, and that's why I would like to end up by thanking you for the valuable information, for the sharing, and for the idea that a lot of people might take home. Thank you for pulling this together, and thank you for joining us in the studio.
Thank you, Zaid. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you with us.
Take care.